Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right, so we shall start. We also last days we discussing about planning and scheduling projects. So today we're going to discuss about the end part of that scheduling and planning of projects, right? So today we're going to discuss about communication and procurement, how we can plan communication. Right. First of all, we must know what is communication, right? So communication is we are going to deliver our ideas, plans, and our feedbacks, comments, those things to the relevant parties, right? That is called communication. So in a project, communication is very important because normally it says that as a project manager, 90% of his or her work is related to communication. They must do everything, but other than that, they must effectively communicate those information to the stakeholders, to the group, to the team, right? So then communication holds a very important portion of project management. Children, normally it says in communication, there are three parts. One is words, verbal communication, right? Then tone of voice. Other thing is non-verbal communication. So normally these related to the basic communication. Then verbal communication, the word means the things that we say, the words we say, it's we speak. Tone of voice is variation of sound and the strength of voice, like that. Non-verbal communication means the facial expressions, gestures, and those things called non-verbal communication. Those things belong to non-verbal communication, right? So in a effective communication or successful communication, verbal communication holds 40%. What we exactly say in words. Tone of voice again holds another 40%. So with the tone, uh, the strength of the voice, right? And again, with that, we can give some expressions, right? We can say something with anger and with love. So like that, feelings can be given with voice, the variations of voice. Again, non-verbal, the facial expressions, how our face reacts to the words, right? So those things belong to non-verbal. However, 60% of communication is non-verbal. That means tone of voice and facial expressions altogether, that holds 60% of a portion in your communication. Then children, there are several times that what we say exactly in words and the facial expressions and the tone will be saying an opposite of that. Those kind of situations also there. So then this tone of voice and non-verbal communication that holds hidden emotions, attitudes, right? Those things can be communicate only using these non-verbal methods, non-verbal effects, right? Okay. Then in project communication process, there are three main steps. First thing is we should plan the communication. Right. The second step is manage communication, then monitor, right? So there are several sub steps in these major steps in communication process. However, in a project, in the planning process, planning stage, we must plan the communication as well. After that, while executing the project, we must manage the communication. And again, similarly, while executing the project, you must monitor the communication. Right? Let's see what these steps belong. What are the other activities or the things we should do in each step? First one is planned communication, right? So that is process of developing an appropriate approach and plan for project communication based on stakeholder information. So that means we must decide how we're going to communicate and using which method, right? When we should communicate like that, we must develop an appropriate approach. How we going to approach them in your communication? For example, for the top level management, how we going to communicate with them, with emails, with reports, right? So like that, we must decide the approach, or we must plan the approach. And then we must decide what are the required information. Because, for example, employee attendance, then providing lunch detail, like that OT detail. So those will not be necessary for the top level management. What they need is whether this activity is completed or not. But for the supervisors, low level management, they need those information. So like that, depending on several levels in the project, in the stakeholders, we should plan what are the content that we're going to deliver like that. So we're going to discuss that in more detail. So however, we must plan how we're going to communicate and what we're going to communicate like that prior to the beginning of the project. The second one is managed communication. So again, there are several activities in managing communication. So creating, collecting, distributing, storing, and retrieving, and again, ultimately, disposition of project information. So all these activities are very important in management, communication management. So what we should do, we should create information. By gathering all the data, the project managers must create the information, like reports, progress evaluations, charts, tables, like that. You have to create information. To create information, we have to collect them. So we have to collect employee attendance and supplier detail and customer detail, and again prices, right? So like that, different weather conditions for some projects, soil conditions, and again some quality reports, quality detail, like that. There are different detail we must collect during the project. Then distributing. So in managed communication phase consists this distributing activity also. That means we must distribute the relevant information to relevant parties when they need. That is distributing. So for distributing also, in our planning process, we must plan how we're going to distribute. So all these things, creating, collecting, distributing, storing, all these activities must be planned in the previous phase. That is planned communication management, planning. Here we're going to manage that. According to the plan, we are going to execute the communication. That is managed communication. Storing. So how are we going to store them? There must be a clear definition for storing, because whether we're going to store them as hard copies, or we're going to store them as soft copies, or we're going to store them as backups, right? So however, the methods that we're going to use to store the information. So in managed communication process, we must take clear decisions about that. This is how we're going to store all the procurement details. This is how we're going to store the plans. So like that, there must be a clear decisions about how to store them. So retrieving information means how we can get information, retrieve, fetch them, right? So who can retrieve information? For example, about company details, I mean, company's procedures, then employee details. So we are not going to give them or make available them to the customers, right? Or suppliers. When a customer going to retrieve some information from our project, we must have a clear definition. These are the information that we're going to give for the customers. And these are the information will be available for suppliers or other stakeholders. So like that, retrieving information also must be clearly defined and must take decisions. Because there can be some conflicts when we're going to retrieve information. Someone may ask, some customer may ask, I want your employee attendant details. So we are not bound to give them to the customer, right? But with the agreements, we must, both parties must agree that we are going to provide only these information to the customers. So like that, retrieving process also we have to manage. That is why I told you project management, communication management is really important, because it is a big pillar of the success of a project. It holds a large composition. 90% of the project management phase will depend on communication, effective communication, right? Then ultimately disposition of project information. That means we have to clearly close down the information. When the project is closed, we must store relevant information, we must submit relevant reports, we must secure some sensitive information about the project, right? So like that, dispersion of project information is also really important, and that is also a part of managing communication. Next one is control communication. The process of monitoring and controlling communication throughout the entire project life cycle to ensure the information is the project stakeholders are met. That means the stakeholders may have, actually they have information needs, that the information requirements. Then control communication means we must control whether these people got the relevant information, and do they receive any additional information or not, right? Again, the provided information are required, I mean, provided informations are acceptable, right? Again, whether the communication is delivered or received to the receiver or the customer stakeholder. So like that, we must control the communication process during this project management steps. Right. So as a project manager, then in communication management, you must adhere to these 3 steps: planning communication, manage communication, and monitor communication. In managed communication, you can see what are things, our actual activities related to information or communication. Within the planning process, planning phase, you must plan how you're going to do each of these activities. How you're going to collect information, how you're going to create information, how you're going to dispose this information, right? So like that, all these activities with what we're going to perform in managed communication phase must be planned very clearly in the planning phase before the beginning of the project, right? Okay. So if you have any questions related to this, you can ask, children. Okay, this is a sample of a communication plan. This is actually a summary plan, right? So you can see communication, format, frequency, owner, distribution, escalation. Like that, you can add more columns depending on requirements. So there is no exact format for this one. There is no fields we must have or we should not have, like that. So all these fields will vary on each project. So this is just a sample. Here you can see communication, week status update, action items, budget, risk review. So like that, there can be more communication steps, communication fields. Then we must clearly define what is the format. Weekly status updates, they are going to be distributed as email. So email will be sent to the project team. Frequency, weekly every Monday. So weekly every Monday, the project team must share weekly status update with the team. Owner or the responsible person is the project manager. Then distribution, all project team members that will receive to all the members, and CEO will be updated. Escalation. See, budget, Excel spreadsheet shared on the corporate network. That is the format. They are going to share their budgets in an Excel sheet, which is shared on the corporate network. So budget will be shared. Updated monthly and after major expenditure. So frequency of communication is when it will be updated monthly. And again, when there is a major expenditure, then the sheet will be updated. Who should do that? Chief Finance Officer. Distribution, you can see Chief Finance Officer, Chief Executive Officer, and budget managers. So like that, in our project, we must clearly prepare a communication plan in this way. Is that okay? Next, children, normally we can prepare a communication calendar as well. This is called a communication calendar. You can see November 1st, Monday, internal newsletter release, target audience, all employees. So content focus, highlight from recent achievements, employee spotlights, and upcoming events. So like that, we can prepare a communication calendar. So this will be helpful to control the communication and manage as well, right? So November 19th, Friday, email blast, customers. So they're going to share exclusive discount offers and Black Friday. Early access for loyal customers, like that. We can brief our communication targets with the date, audience, and the method we're going to follow. So these two can be combined as well, right? So as I told you earlier, there is no exact format. This is the exact format you should follow in this project communication planning. So you can define that one depending on your project requirements, your communication requirements. So these are two examples for your understanding. And if someone needs, they can combine these two and have one chart as well, right? Okay. So if you have any question, you can ask children. So in planning communication, so it's really all about when, how, who, and what of communication strategy. So when planning, these are the main focus of ours, of project managers. They should especially think about when, how, who, and what. For example, when, right? So they can decide like we will communicate with the client every Friday at 2 p.m. So client will be contacted every Friday. So we must decide in planning for each communication phase or activity, communication target, we must plan when we're going to do this. Right? In the example, it says every Friday. Then how? We will communicate via Google Meet and share the conference link in advance. So they're going to use Google Meet as a platform that will be online meeting. And again, link will be shared prior to the meeting. That is how they're going to communicate, the medium, the method. Then who? The creative team working on the project will be involved. As well as the stakeholders on the client side. So who, that means who will be involved with the communication. So that is online meeting and the project team and the stakeholders from the client side will be participating. So that is clearly defined now, right? That is how we're going to plan actually. Then what? The weekly meeting will be for the creatives to give an update on a progress, right? Again, and client to bring up any potential questions or issues. That is what we're going to communicate during the meeting. So like that, using these 4Ws, when, how, who, what, we can plan our communication phases in our project. If you want, you can keep down notes, right? If you again need more time, please ask. Right, next. So you can discuss why this planning communication is important. In communication, the main rule is right information to the right person at the right time. That is the main rule behind effective communication. Right information to the right person at the right time. That is why you must plan communication, manage communication, and control communication in a project. Right. Then children, that we're going to discuss why this communication planning is important. So the first thing is keep eye on the same page. What is keep eye on the same page? That means all the team members, stakeholders, that means customer, suppliers, and other responsible parties, then top level managers like that, all the stakeholders of the project must be informed or must be aware about the project in a same level. So don't misunderstand that. Same level means what is the project and when to start, when to finish, and what are the objectives, what are the goals, how we are going to perform this project. So like that, the basic information of the project must be shared with all the stakeholders in the same level. Actually, not must be. Using effective communication or planned communication, we can do that. Here it says communication plan ensure every involved in the project, from the team members to stakeholders, has the same understanding of goals, expectations, and progress. So then if we do the right, if we share right information to the right person in the right time, then all the people who are engaged with the project, who are affected with the project, will be educated about the goals, expectation, and the process and progress of the project. Then next advantage is, advantage of planning communication is we can increase efficiency. We can uplift the quality of the project. That is because that will reduce the waste of time actually. Again, if all the stakeholders like customers, team members, and senior managers, everything, if they know where they can collect information, where the information is available in the project, right? Then they will not waste time asking unwanted and unnecessary questions and contacting unnecessary people, right? Normally, the communication will be a mess if we did not plan it correctly, right? So if you plan the communication in our project in a clear way, then that will reduce the waste of time. Again, conflict handling. So in projects, when you're going to be a manager, there will be thousands of conflicts, right? So to reduce these conflicts, sharing correct information to the correct people in the correct time will be helpful. Right? I think you all can understand. So we can say, we can share some information to the customer. If customer requires, ask for more detail, which we can't provide, then we can exactly say, in our agreement, we have agreed only to share this information with you. That is there in the planning process. Again, in some cases, the members in the same team, some people may aware about the next step, again, some may not. Then they will not work properly. Right? Then they may have some other personal conflicts with team members because someone knows the progress, someone knows the next step. Again, some people doesn't know. Then there can be some personal conflicts. So if we use our plan of communication to share information, then we can reduce those kind of conflicts. So, however, the main objective of planning communication is to share right information to the right person at the right time. If we do that, we can achieve all this, we can obtain all these advantages, right? Then build trust and engagement. When everyone feels informed and involved, they are more likely to be invested in the project success, right? Similarly, the senior managers, then customers, our team members, right? If they know that they are provided necessary information, right? They feel like they are involved in the project. Then they will contribute more to the project if they have relevant information. If they feel like they are informed, they are what we call they are important to the project, right? Then they will work hard. They will be motivated. If we share necessary information with necessary people, team members, then they will be motivated that we know these things, we should plan these things, we should do these things because they know things about the project. Then I think you all can understand we must share information with our team members, customers, and everyone. For sharing information will motivate them. They will feel like they are involved with the project. Again, we should decide as project managers what are the information that we're gonna share. That is why planning is very important. In planning, what we're gonna do, we are going to decide when we're gonna share information, how we're gonna share information, with whom we're gonna share information, and what are the information we're gonna share. That is what planning includes. Right, children? So I think you all understood that planning communication is highly important in project, and it holds a major role in project management. Okay. So in projects, project management, communication should be a feedback loop. So it is not a directional process. That means it is not just sharing information, sending information, right? It is a circle. It's a loop. Sender can be the project team, project manager. Receiver can be stakeholders like customers, suppliers, and other people who are involved with, right? Then you should communicate information. And again, you must receive a feedback. According to feedback, again, we're going to communicate. We're going to send information. Again, they are going to give us feedbacks. For example, if we complete one phase of a project, right? Assume that we are going to build a tree house. However, a building, right? Okay, we'll come to the tree house later. Building, right? So then if we just complete one phase of building the house or some kind of a building, then we can provide information to the customer like this is the cost and this is the plan and these are the things that we included in the uh, basement or somehow like so then customer should give us then feedbacks. Yeah, this is okay, I agreed with this one and I need these changes. So those are the feedbacks. According to the feedbacks, again we're gonna communicate to the customer. These changes can be addressed, right? So like that. So then keep in mind that communication in project management is not a directional communication. It's a two-way communication, like communicating and getting feedbacks, right? So children, with the understanding of these facts, we are going to create a project communication plan document. So it's a document which help project managers to define the cycle of communication. So as the project scope statement, we must prepare another document that is called project communication plan. Let's see what this document must include. First, we must clearly plan who are the stakeholders and what are their communication requirements. So before the commencement of the project manager should take or gather data. You can meet them, have interviews and share questionnaires like that. However, you must get information about what are the requirements, communication, information requirements of the stakeholders. So let's see who are the stakeholders in a project. Normally we have external stakeholders and the internal stakeholders. So who are the internal stakeholders? Our team members, project members, then managers, owners of the company or the properties. So those are the internal stakeholders, the team of the project. External stakeholders, you can see suppliers, society, government, because we have to get some approvals and some other things, right? Right. Then creditors, banks, and those people, shareholders, then customers, the clients. Those are the external stakeholders. So then we must clearly gather information requirement of each of these groups. What are the information we should provide to the government? What they need, right? Again, if you're going to apply for loans and the funding purpose, what are the information to be provided? So like that, before starting the project, in the planning process, planning phase, the project management manager should identify stakeholder requirements of information. Clear? Right. Next, responsible parties. So we must decide who are the responsible parties for each communication. Because children, when we communicate some information, that can't be reversed, right? For a project, if we say that now this phase is complete, right? So that is a legal statement. Then we should define who are going to communicate such statements, right? Assume that we are going to conduct a project like we are going to build a road, right? So then some team member, like for a labor in the project, may say to the villagers or the people there that we are going to start the road in next Monday, right? But the top management may decide, no, we are not going to start the road in this week. We are going to start this on next month. So then what will happen then? Then the villagers or the people who are uh, living that area, they may struggle that you are supposed to start the road in next Monday, but you are not doing that. So with the information shared by unwanted people, I mean not unwanted actually, unauthorized people, then there can be conflicts. Then for each information, each communication, the project manager should define or allocate, assign the responsible parties. Commencement of the project or major decisions of the project can be shared only by the project manager, right? Because there can be such sensitive information which are not should be shared by low level employees, right? Again, when collecting information, who is responsible? Again, if you're gonna build a road in a village, right? If that is the project, then there can be several requirements by individual people in the village. But as project managers, we must address only to the authorized people like Grama Sevak or some other kind of society leader, right? We will not be able to address issues or communications forwarded by each other village in the area, right? So like that, in communication planning actually, we must clearly define who are the responsible people for each communication step. For the top level managers who are going to communicate, right? Only the project manager, only the HR manager, only the finance manager. So like that. Again, if we're going to give some media conferences, if the project team going to give media statements, who is the responsible person for that? For example, in the university, uh, no one will be able to give media statements other than the vice chancellor or a person who is assigned by the vice chancellor. So like that, in a project also, the project manager should assign who can give media statements, who can share information, who is responsible for collecting information. Like that, the responsibilities must be assigned. Otherwise, that will be a huge issue, not a simple one actually. That can be a legal issue as well. So if you haven't decided or defined the responsible people in your team for each of communication, ultimately that will be end up in court with a court case, with a legal case. Clear? That is why I told you communication is a very important portion of the project management. Right. Next, preferred formats. How we going to communicate? First one, what we going to communicate? The communication requirements. Who is going to communicate? The responsible parties. And preferred formats. How we going to communicate? So what are the methods we have? We can have presentations. We can just give a phone call. We can send them text message, email, video conference, right? There are several other methods that we can visit and have a verbal communication. So like that, we must define what is the method that we're going to use and the format we're going to use to communicate. For example, for the top level managers, as the project manager, for the senior managers, you can make a presentation about the progress, right? So again, they may ask, we need the project progress every week and summary in the each month. Then, so every week you can agree, I'm going to send an email in every week stating the progress. And again, the project manager is going to do a presentation at the end of the month, end of the each month to the senior managers. So if customer requires some information, we are not going to make presentation, right? We can send emails or we can send a text message about the progress. Now this part is complete, this part is complete. We can just send text messages. Again, if there is a meeting, right? For example, a stakeholder meeting, then we can have it as a physical meeting or a video conference. Physical meeting also a method of communication, right? That is not mentioned here. Therefore, then for some people, we can just give a phone call. I need these raw materials. I need these tasks to be done. With a phone call, that will be enough. But children, if we need proof about that communication, we must always have a email or a document which is signed. Because a phone call will not be a proof for a communication. In such a way, if we need that proof or authentication about the communication, we must decide, you must send me an email regarding your request. Again, for example, if customer is requesting something, I need this change in the project. Okay. Assume that it's a landscaping project. We are going to landscape the building. Then we have come to some agreements, and again, customer going to ask more. I mean, he's asking for a change. The customer is asking for a change. Then they can just give us a phone call, the project manager, and say, I need this part to be removed or this part to be added. Then with just a phone call, you will not be able to address that issue because there can be a lot of changes in your project plan to address that issue or address that requirement, the new requirement. In that case, you may have to convince the necessity of the requirement to the senior managers. Then you may have to adjust budget. Then again, for auditing and monitoring phases, you may have to submit information. Then with just a phone call, you may not be able to do that, right? So what you can do, you can use with the phone call, you can discuss that. And again, you must ask them to send an email or a letter, right? Then there will be a proof for that communication. So likewise, with the relevance and with the validity of that information, you must decide what is the format or the method you can use to send the information. Again, depending on the audience. Okay, children. So now you should be able to decide communication steps, communication methods, depending on some communication needs, right? Is that clear, everyone? You can reply in the chat, right? Okay, if you don't have any issues, any questions, we can move forward. Then children, we should decide the level of detail. So level of detail means what are the information that we are going to share. For example, as I told you earlier, uh, for a customer, we are not going to give our internal detail, right? Our employee detail, our team member details, their attendance, their progress, their personal files. So we are not going to share them with our customers and other external parties. So with the customers, we are going to share. We have a team of 10 members for this project. That is enough, right? So we don't have to provide those their names and everything to the customer. But in some cases, some government parties, some those kind of authorities, they may ask, who are the team? Who is the team? I mean, who are the members in the team, right? Sorry. Who are the members in the team? So then, in that case, we may have to provide their names and ID numbers and everything to those people. Okay, then some bank or something, some creditors like financial authorities, they may ask, what are their salaries? What are the properties that they have? So then we have to provide those information to the financial authorities, right? So like that, depending on the person or the communication, we must clearly define the depth of the communication, the level of detail. Again, senior managers, they may need a summary of the activity, summary of the progress. They may not need the employee attendance, then again, the tiny detail about these financial things. So they may not need that. They need in this week, how is the progress? So then the level of information that we want to share will be less. So like that, depending on the, as I told you earlier, depending on the communication, we can decide the level, right? So this is image is just a example, and example actually that for the your understanding the level of detail. So next one is frequency of communication. When we gonna communicate? So this says how often the communication needs to take place. So if assume that the senior managers have asked us to submit progress reports, then we must agree. We are going to set progress reports weekly or monthly. That is the frequency of communication. For the customers, again, we must agree. We are going to give you the progress, or we are going to have customer or stakeholder meetings in every month, mid of every month, like that. Otherwise, the customers will every day call you and ask, what is the progress? What has happened? Why don't you, why you are not going to do this one? And like that, please make this change. So that will be huge trouble, right? Then frequency of communication, defining the frequency of communication is really important. When you're going to communicate, when you're going to share information, when you're going to make a presentation. Even for the senior managers of your company, you must agree. Otherwise, you may have to do number of presentations every day. You must plan and come to agreements. We are going to make presentations only at the end of the month. Weekly, we are going to send progress reports in emails. So like that, frequency of communication. Next, children, recipients. So that is who will receive the information, who will be keeping the loop. For example, if we are communicating with some external organizations like external parties like government, then banks, and some other companies, then the recipient will be the contact point of that authority or that organization. And again, you may have to CC that or copy that to the senior manager. So in the plan, that should be exactly mentioned. When you are sending an email or sending a letter to these kind of parties, like then you must keep these people in the loop. Then again, for example, if you're going to address customers or send some detail to the customer, then you must send a copy to the marketing manager. Then he also will receive the update. Again, if you're going to allocate some task to the project team, one of the team member, then you must copy that information to the HR manager as well. So like that, who are the recipients of this information must be clearly defined in our plan. So then the chart I showed you earlier that is a sample, right? In that sample also we have decided who is responsible, how this is going to be communicated, and who is the superior party that we should copy or share the information. So like that, all these necessary data or necessary decisions must be summarized and displayed to everyone. Right. So children, this is actually a document. So in the document, you must mention the information requirement and the responsibilities, the format that you're going to share, and the level of detail, what are the details to be shared, and again, frequency of communication and who are the recipients. So for that purpose, you can prepare a chart like this and prepare a document. So here also we have communication, what, format, frequency, owner is responsible, then who is going to distribute that one, the recipients, and again, escalation, who will share the copies or who will be in the loop. Right. So that is about project communication plan. Do you have any questions, children? Is that clear to everyone? You can reply in chat. Now you must aware why the communication is important in a project. If I ask a question in the paper, like explain why the communication is important in this project, then you must be able to answer. Due to these reasons, the communication holds a major portion of project management. So it is better if you can reply, right? Then I know, because I don't see your faces, then I don't know whether you get this or not. So if it is everything is okay, please reply in chat. Okay, or if you have a question, you can ask in the chat as well. Okay, thank you, everyone who replied. So, children, your feedback is really important. This is also communication. So, when I ask, is that okay? Is that clear? Please give your reply. Then I will get to know that you understood the things, right? Then we're gonna discuss some of the key communication activities in the traditional project includes. So, what are traditional project management methods? So children, we discuss about project management styles like waterfall method, agile method, right? Spiral method. So children, these spiral method and waterfall methods, so those are traditional project management methods, right? The in the basic level, right? So the newest ones we discuss about agile project management. So those are new concepts. There are some small differences in these traditional method and the agile project management techniques, right? In normal project management process, for communication, we summon some meetings. We call some meetings. So those are, the first one is project kickoff meeting. So these you must aware about these names, these terms about meetings. So children, the project kickoff meeting is the first meeting that we're gonna take related to the project. That is called the kickoff meeting. So they are the project to introduce the project team to each other and to project's goals and objectives. So we are going to discuss what is our goal, what is our objectives, what are objectives, and who are the team members, what are their skills, what are their responsible fields, right? Why they are in the project, what we expect from the each team member. So like that, the basic things about the team and the project will be discussed in the project kickoff meeting. Actually, that is the very first meeting that we're gonna take related to the project. Then children, we are going to, we will be able to, we may have to get some several meetings like project planning meetings. So in those meetings, we are going to decide the milestones, the work breakdown structure, and the critical path, budgets, communication plan, some other schedules, right? The Gantt chart. So those things will be prepared and discussed in project planning meeting. So then there will be several meetings, so several rounds of meetings to complete the project plan. Then children, status meetings. So normally we call status meetings with our stakeholders, the customers, clients. So these meetings are held regularly to update stakeholders on the project progress and to identify and the potential issues. So with the status meetings, we are going to deliver our progress to the customer and discuss their issues, discuss their changes, right? So those meetings will be taken with stakeholders, clients, status meetings, right? Again, we have risk management meetings. So we are going to take these meetings is quality people. Quality people means a quality team and some security teams, right? And again, the project managers, they are going to discuss about the risk. So this risk will arise when you're going to control or monitor the project. Children, we discuss about critical path, right? Critical activities, floating activities. So assume that there is a lack of raw materials for a critical activity. Then there will be a risk, right? What's the risk? We will not be able to complete the project during the given time period, the expected time period, because that is a critical activity that must be started at the same date, the given date, right? Then we have to we have to call a risk management meeting and you have to discuss what we can do. What is the risk? What is the effect of the risk? How we can recover the risk? So those things can be discussed in the risk management meeting. So change management meeting also really important. Children, while we executing the project, while we conducting the project, the customer may ask for changes. They may give some additional requirements. They may ask to remove some content from the project. They may ask for budget constraints, right? So in such situations, we have to call for change management meetings. So just the project manager will not be able to address any of these additional requirements, additional changes. So he must arrange a risk change management meeting and discuss with the relevant team members, and then only they can approve the change, whether they are going to make the change or not. Then those type of meetings are called as change management meetings. Then children, project closure meeting. So in project closure meetings, we can arrange this closure meeting with the clients as well, or we can have this meeting with we can have two meetings, one with clients and one with team members. So this project closure meeting is very important in a project, because we are going to discuss about project closure in the project closure phase as well at the end. But before that, the well-defined closure or finishing of the project is really important. We must present all the progress, final reports. We must present actual budgets. And again, we must discuss about the failures, the success, again, lesson learned, our experience, the new methods that we identified. So like that, within the team, in a project, we must arrange a project closure meeting at the end of the project and discuss all these things. And whether if we have to give some appreciations to the employees for high performance, then those things are done in these project closure meetings. So the main purpose are to review the success, identify reasons for failures, discuss lessons learned, and give appreciations and official closing of the project. Normally, this project closure meeting is attached with a celebration, a get together, a party, right? Okay. So children, in traditional method, you can see now there are several type of meetings. One is kickoff meeting. That's the first meeting. Planning meetings. There can be several round of meetings of planning. Status meetings with customers, clients. Risk management meetings. When a risk arises, we can discuss the risk. Change management. When a customer requests a change, we must gather a meeting, and that must go as a collective decision, whether we're going to do the change or not. Then at the end, you must as a project manager, you must arrange a project closure meeting. There can be two meetings, one with the members, the other one with the clients. So in this meeting, you are going to officially hand over the project to the customer and close everything. Right, children, that is about communication activities. I think that is clear to you. In the agile method also, there are several communication practices. In agile project management, there are 4 types of meetings. One is daily stand-up meetings. So daily stand-up meeting is every day in the morning, the project team is going to have a short meeting. Right? So the team members share their progress from the previous day, their plans for the current day, and any blockers they are facing. Right? If they have any issues and if there are any barriers, they are going to discuss. Again, in the daily stand-up meeting, they will not going to sit. That is a stand-up meeting. The meeting will be conducted while standing up. All the members are going to stand up and attend the meeting. So then that will be a very short time meeting, short period meeting. So they will discuss about the day activities only, daily activities only, about the present day. At the morning, they're going to discuss, last day I complete this part, and today I'm going to do this thing, and I have this issue. Then others also discuss the same, and if they have some collective activities, then they're going to share this and do it. Right? That is called daily stand-up meetings in Agile method. Next one is sprint planning meeting. So children, sprint is a particular time, predefined time period that they're gonna complete one task. Sprint. That can be a week, that can be 2 weeks, that can be 3 weeks, 1 month, 1.5 months, like that. The project team is going to decide what is the duration of a sprint. However, sprint is a defined time period that they're going to complete some step. Assume that the project duration is 12 months or 10 months. Then sprint will be a month, or sprint can be 2 months. Then they're going to have only 5 sprint planning meetings during this period. If the sprint time is 2 months, sprint period, sprint is right. Then sprint review meeting, each sprint to review the work that was completed and to get feedback from the stakeholders. In the sprint review meeting, that is going to be taken with the stakeholders, I mean clients, and discuss the progress and get the feedback from the clients. Right. Then sprint retrospective meetings. So that is going to be taken with the team members, and they're going to discuss what went well. That means what they completed successfully. And then they're going to discuss what are the new methods that they found, new practices, successful practices. Again, what we should improve in our project. With that, they can develop a new plan for the next sprint. Right. So now, as you are aware, in Agile method, normally every day they are going to have a meeting that is called daily stand-up meeting, and there will be sprint meetings to planning the sprint, review the sprint, and discuss the lessons learned, and to improve their personal skills, right? That is called sprint retrospective meetings, right? Okay. So the communication methods vary with the method that you're going to follow to conduct the project or manage the project. In waterfall method, we are going to have meeting with customers only in the requirement gathering phase. Then there will be no customer meetings or client meetings, progress meetings with the client during the process, during the project. But in the Agile method, there can be several meetings with customers in every sprint. So like that, depending on your model, depending on your information requirements, you must clearly plan your communication in the project. About communication, is that clear now? Then next we can discuss about procurement. So procurement is a uh, advanced subject to discuss in detail. But here in planning, we are going to discuss a bit about procurement in project management. So you can learn further in project management about procurements later, right? So here we can discuss what is procurement and what is procurement plan and why it is important. So normally procurement management is the process of meeting the requirements of products and services for an organization. So for a project, what we must do, we need some products, items, and again, we may require some services. The procurement means we're going to purchase or we're going to get these services by paying them. In procurement management, what we're going to do, we are going to provide we are going to assess what are the requirements and why it is necessary and who are the providers, who are the best provider, and what is the legal method to achieve that service or the product. Again, in procurement management, what we're going to do, we are going to first analyze what are the requirements of products and services and who are the suppliers for these products and services. Then from among them, we are going to select the best supplier for us, depending on the price, depending on the quality, depending on the availability. We can select the supplier. And after that, the legal process to purchase that service or product. And after that, maintaining also comes under this procurement management. Then preparing summary financial reports. Children, in procurement management, there is a method. We can take it as a method as well. That is make or buy decision, right? That is called make or buy decision. So make or buy decision is if we need some product, are we going to make or build that product within the team or within the premises, or whether we're gonna buy that. A service also same. If we need some service, whether we're gonna take it from a team member or whether we're gonna hire an external party for that. For example, if we are going to build a let's say so for a project, right? If we need some people to plan the project, so if it's a building, we have to prepare the building plan. So then we can get a member from the project to do the plan, prepare the plan. Again, if not, we can hire some external architecture to prepare the plan. Again, if we need some tools to complete the project, are we going to prepare that tools in our premises, in-house, or are we going to rent that tools or purchase those tools? So that is called make or buy decision. So that make or buy decision depend on cost benefits and time and availability of human resources. Depending on those, we can decide whether we're going to make that or buy that. Again, when we're going to execute a project, we may need some tools. We may need some products, raw materials, and again services as well. So children, if we have a team, if we normally we have a team, we have a member of a team for that one, right? For the completion of the project, we have a team. So first we must think, uh, can we build this product with the team, or can we get this service from a team member? And we're going to take that decision depend on the cost benefit, time constraints, and availability of human resources and the quality as well. So cost of making product in-house. So production cost, extra labor cost, monitoring cost, storage requirement cost, waste product disposal cost. So those are the costs that we have to think about, other than the availability of resources, quality, and time constraint. So when you go to buy that one, sales tax charges, shipping cost, inventory holding cost, ordering cost, right? Like that. There are different other expenses when we're going to buy a product. So however, children, in the planning process, you must discuss these things with the expert of the project, expert related to the project field, and you must take clear decisions in procurement plan, depending on what? Depending on the cost and benefits, time constraints, availability of resources, and the quality. Depending on these factors, we can decide whether we are going to make this tool or the product, or whether we're going to purchase the product or hire it. Clear? That is called make or buy decision. So that is a main portion of the procurement planning. Before we're going to purchase everything from the outside, we must think, we must assess whether we can build them in-house. Okay. Then in the procurement plan also, we must prepare a document. So that is called procurement activity plan. And we must ensure that that is aligned with the project schedule, the Gantt chart. When we need tools and services, those must be available. For example, we earlier checked for the critical activities, right? So when we think about these critical activities in our procurement plan, prior to the commencement of the activity, we must plan and gather all the requirements that we need, all the resources we need. To collect the resources, then we may have to build them or purchase them. In the procurement plan, we must add or plan those things in this due date, before the due date, how we gonna gather these resources or services. Okay. Again, the procurement management plan has 3 key components: procurement strategy, procurement process, and procurement control plan. So these are the key components of a procurement management plan. Let's see what each of these. So procurement strategy, the type of goods and services we need. What are the services we need? What are the items we need? That make or buy decision comes in this procurement strategy plan. Then time of purchase, when we must purchase this one. Because this planning and executing our procurement process according to the plan is really important, because otherwise that will delay some critical activities in our project. Again, that will waste the time. That may cause to the failure of the project if we are not able to complete the project within the given time period, right? So this procurement is really important because it's related to finance and again requirements. That is the bridge between the finance constraints and the requirements. So the procurement delay is also a main cause for project failures. We're going to discuss about project failures at the end. So in project failures, one of the main reason is communication, poor communication. The other one is poor planning in procurement, poor execution in procurement process. Because the project team must need relevant resources when they need that, when it is required. Otherwise, the project will get delayed. Okay, so then procurement strategy. We must decide what are the items, the type of items and services we need, and when we need them. Next, children, the process. We should clearly define the procurement process. That is really important. So in the procurement, there are several approvals methods that depends on that will be differ from company to company, from organization to organization. Again, that varies with the amount of money. So, for example, in the university, if we are to expend less than 5,000, department head can approve that one. Less than 5,000. So less than 20,000, dean can approve. If you are going to expend less than 20,000, the dean is able to approve that payment. Again, if you are going to make a payment between 5,000 to 20,000 or above 5,000, right? If you have to make a payment above 5,000, if you have to purchase something above 5,000, we must go for quotations. With special approvals, we can purchase some item for single quotation. If not, what we should do, we should collect 3 quotation from 3 suppliers, and we should have a technical evaluation committee, and that committee should select the relevant supplier, right? That is the process. Again, after 50,000, the vice chancellor can approve. Again, we must provide him 3 quotations, and the committee, technical committee, we should get the approval for those as well. There will be 3 or 4 people for a technical committee, and they're going to have a meeting and discuss who is the supplier that we're going to select. Again, children, when we get 3 quotations, we must go for the lowest price. We must go for the lowest price. If we are going to go for the second lowest or third lowest, then we must give justifications for that. Depending on the quality or depending on some other reasons, we are not going to choose the lowest supplier. We are going to go for the second lowest supplier. Then we have to give justifications, right? So like that, there is a procurement process. Again, as I told you earlier, that varies with the organization. And again, for large payments like more than 100,000, we must call for tenders. That's tender process. So like that, there are defined rules in each organization for expending its funds. So in a project also same. So the project goes under a company or organization or authority. So then there is a procurement process. Then who are related to this procurement, finance sector, they must ensure that all the payments are going under the relevant or defined procurement process. This is just an example, children. Step 1, identify needs. First, need identification must be sent to the approvers. For the project, we need this tool. To complete the project, we need these services. Like that request identification of need must be approved. Again, the second step is evaluation and select vendors. Then we must inform the suppliers, vendors. Then we must get quotations or quotations from these vendors. Then submit purchase requisitions. So when we select one vendor, the lowest price or second lowest price, however, the committee can select from whom that we're going to purchase the item or the service, and then we must send them. We have selected you as the vendor or the supplier for this product, and supply us this amount of these from this good. So that is called purchase order. After placing the purchase order, right? Purchase order is a legal document that we're going to give for a vendor before paying, right? That is the request to deliver the goods. So clearly understand this process. When they deliver the items or the product to the project team, to us, we are going to check that one. Right? We are going to check the quality of the product. And if the product meet our quality requirements or meet our requirements actually in a good quality, then only we are going to accept the product or the item. After accepting that one, we are going to call for the invoice and we are going to make the payment. Then the last step is this will be sent to the audit department for internal auditing, right? So that is a procurement process. I explained that related to the university actually. In some private organizations, there are no such that much of restrictions in procurements, because in government organizations, we are expending government money. So then there are a lot of restrictions and approvals needed in expending money, right? So, however, in a simple way, these are the steps. There are 4 main steps. Identify need. We must identify what are the materials we need, what are the equipments, and what are the services. Identify need. After identifying the need, sourcing and selecting vendors. We are going to request for proposals. RFP, request for proposal. So RFP is a document that the project team must prepare, right? So in that, we are going to mention these are our requirements. For example, if we are going to purchase a printer for our project, then we must mention we need to get printouts. The first thing, right? No, we don't need to mention that one. So like we need to take color printouts. We need to take A1 size paper printouts. We need to take this papers with this thickness, right? Again, we need to print cards. We need to print 75 copies in a minute. So like that, we must prepare our request for proposal, including our requirements. Then we are going to share that with selective vendors, and they are going to send us their quotations. Clear? Then, children, we are going to evaluate these proposals. That means we are going to evaluate these quotations, and we're going to check the prices, their qualifications, their experience, and the quality of the products, whether they have some charges. Again, their good name of the company, right? So we are going to evaluate all these things before purchasing. Then negotiating contracts. We can negotiate the scope of work, price, delivery time, and other terms, right? The credit periods. So that is included in the selecting when the second phase. The third step is contract management and order placement. After selecting the relevant vendor, we are going to send the purchase order, and they are going to send us the deliver the good. Monitoring and delivery means they are going to deliver the good. After that, we are going to make the payment. If the product meets our requirements, and it is even only if that is in the good quality, then we are going to make the payments. Right. So children, these are the actual steps. So here you can see 8 steps. So these are the most common steps that we're going to follow in a procurement process when we're going to purchase some item to a project. Otherwise, again, you are going to end up with legal cases, court cases for financial frauds. So all these 8 steps can be summarized in this way: identify needs, sourcing and selecting vendors, contract management and order placement, and again, monitoring and delivery. Okay, so children, that is the procurement planning, the main steps of procurement planning. And procurement control means always we are going to think about reducing the cost while enhancing the quality, speed, and the results. Right? So that is how we're going to control the procurements. For example, someone may require, assume that we need a laptop or project, right? So then your team members may ask a very high-end laptop for your project. Then the project procurement team must decide whether this is necessary. Again, even if it is necessary, how we can go for the lowest item, lowest price, lowest cost item. So, however, the main objective or the main goal of this procurement planning or procurement controlling is to enhance, increase the quality, speed, results while reducing the cost. That's the main objective. Clear? Right. So that is about procurement planning, children. Is everything clear? Okay. So thank you for replying. Then we're going to see why project is going to fail. So a project is considered as fail if the project is not able to achieve its goal. Right? Again, client did not receive the desired deliverables. That means in the project, we are going to agree that at the end of the project, we are going to deliver these things to you, these things to the customer. If we are not able to deliver the expected deliverables, then the project is considered as failed. Again, if the work wasn't finished on time, then the project again fails. So normally, these are the three main facts that we're going to decide a project is failed. If the project is not achieved its goal and the customer is not received the expected deliverables, and again, if we are not able to complete the project within the given time period, we are going to state that this project is failed. Let's see what are the reasons for project failures. So the most affected reason is change in organization's priorities. That means the organizational internal changes, the changes of project managers, changes of HR managers, changes of senior managers. So like that's organizational structural changes is the main reason, is the most affecting reason for project failures. Then you can see change of project objectives, the changes which are accepted in the middle of the project, that is 37%. And you can, as you can see here, inadequate or poor communication, that is also holding a large portion of project failures, the reasons for project failures, right? That's the third reason. Then opportunities and risks were not identified. Inexperienced project managers, 22%, right? Team member procrastination. Task dependencies, that means incompletion of previous tasks, right? And so there are some other reasons as well, like environmental reasons, government involvements, and some global finance issues. Those are also related to project failures. Okay, children, so that is what we're going to discuss today. We discussed about communication planning and again procurement planning. So then with that, we are going to finish project planning and scheduling topic, right? Okay, before winding up, do you have any questions, children? So you are supposed to submit your project scope statements yesterday. And so I hope that you have submitted those. Again, we're going to have a meeting with all the project team online, right? Let's try to do that. I'll inform you the date. Okay, before that, do you have any questions regarding the lesson that we conduct today? Okay, and then we can wind up. Thank you for your participation. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.